Hi, I have a little book here called When Will I Read? It's written by Miriam Cohen, and the illustrations are made by Lillian Hoban. This book was written in 1977 when I was about 12 years old. I like this book because it reminds me of when I was little and I could not wait to learn how to read. When Will I Read? By Miriam Cohen. He's very ready. When will I read? Jim asked. Soon, the teacher said. This looks like maybe the school is in New York City because look at all those tall buildings. But when, said Jim, you know what the signs in our room say, the teacher said. Yes, said Jim, I know. Please put the blocks back when you are done and don't let the hamsters out. But I always knew that. See, the sign here says, don't let the hamsters out. You can read your name, the teacher said. But that's not really reading, said Jim. The teacher smiled. It will happen, she said. Then she went to get the snacks. Now, in this story, these kids are in first grade. I can read, George said. No, you can't, everybody shouted. George took his favorite book and told what it said under each picture. You only remembered it, Paul said. That's how reading begins, said the teacher. It begins that way. Anna Maria was feeding her baby. Was reading to her baby in the dog corner. She could really read. Quiet, she said, I'm reading to you. But her baby would not be quiet. Anna Maria said, oh, this is a bad baby. He needs to be washed. And she began to wash her baby very hard. Here's the book. Here's the little pretend baby bathtub. Jim said to Willie and Sammy, everywhere there is reading. There is reading about Smokey the Bear on the bus. There is reading on the Cheerios box. Everywhere there is reading or writing, writing or reading. Willie said, oh, on the Cheerios box, it tells you to send for a little airplane. Yes, said Sammy, I did, but it crashed right away. They're thinking about all the places they could be reading, huh? Jim sat down at the table. He put his head on his arms. Don't worry, the teacher said. There's no hurry. You will read when you are ready. And that is true. But when will I be ready? Jim asked. You are getting ready all the time, she said. Just then, there was a banging, bashing, clashing noise outside the first grade windows. Let's go and watch the garbage men work, said the teacher. The class rushed out to the playground. The garbage men lifted the big cans and dumped them into the truck. The crunching teeth ate up the trash. One of the garbage men winked at Jim. He said, how you doing, son? Then the garbage men jumped on the truck and drove away. waving and smiling at the first grade. I always loved watching Garbage Men, especially when I was a little kid in first grade. Afterward, the teacher wrote down everyone's story about the garbage man. Here is Jim's. The garbage man is strong. He is not afraid of teeth that keep on eating the garbage. He just smiles and says, "How are you doing, son?" Jim sat at the table reading his story. George and Willie and Sammy sat down with him. Jim said, "I wish I really could read." "A dog can read," Sammy said. "No, he can't," everyone shouted. "Yes, a dog can," said Sammy. "He reads by the sniffs. He sniffs and then he knows. He knows which dog came there before." "But can a dog read the comics?" asked George. Sammy and Willie fell down on the floor laughing. Jim was tired of worrying about reading. Then he went to watch Danny and Paul and Margaret. They were being firemen, and their block city was on fire. Danny yelled, "Bring the water over here." "No," said Margaret, "we have to save this man." And she and Paul began to put up a ladder. "Hurry," Danny yelled. "The fire is coming. It will burn the hamsters." He pretended to shoot water on the hamster's box. Jim came to help Danny. Then he saw the sign on the hamster's box was torn. Look at the hamsters. Ate some of the sign. And it says, "Do let the hamsters out." Jim ran to the teacher. "Look," he shouted, "the sign says, 'Do let the hamsters out. They could get killed.'" "We can fix that," the teacher said, and she began to make a new sign. Then she smiled at Jim. "I told you it would happen," she said. "You can read." "I can?" Jim said. "Yes," said the teacher. "That was reading. You really read the sign." Jim and the teacher put the new sign on the hamster's cage. "I waited all my life," said Jim. "Now I can read." And there's some books he was getting ready for. When will I read? Every person learns when they're ready. Sometimes kids are 5, sometimes kids are 6, sometimes kids are 7, sometimes kids are 8. Be patient and keep working. You'll get there.